Shalom. Our Torah portion for this week is Korach. It derives its name from the main character in this week's Torah portion, Korach. Who is Korach? Korach was a cousin of Moses and Aaron. Korach was a very bright, articulate, and rather wealthy man who, like his cousins, was a Levite. Now, Korach was jealous of the power that Moses and Aaron had. He felt that he was every bit as deserving to be the leader of Israel, serving as the high priest. Now, Korach, to use a Yiddish expression, was a kochleffel. That is, someone who stirs up the pot, someone who doesn't have the courage to clearly speak his piece to those people with whom he has a disagreement. A kochleffel, a troublemaker, or someone who stirs the pot, is someone who finds other malcontents and to build up a political movement against a political adversary. And that's what Korach does. He finds all sorts of people who have complaints against Moses and Aaron. Some of their complaints are legitimate, some are not so legitimate, and all the while Korach is hiding his own ambition to take Aaron's place, perhaps even Moses' place at the helm of the leadership of the Jewish people. He speaks in terms of democracy and equality. He says, weren't we all there at Sinai? Who are Moses and Aaron to lift themselves up over the people? Now, you may recall that Moses never desired to be the leader of the Jewish people. He even ran away from that responsibility. He was a reluctant leader. And so when he's confronted by Korach and his mob, he says the following words. Let's take a look at Numbers chapter 16, beginning with verse 31. ויהי ככלותו לדבר את כל הדברים האלה, ותיבקעו האדמה אשר תחתיכם, ותפתח הארץ את פיה, ותבלע אותם ואת בתיהם, ואת כל האדם אשר לקורח, ואת כל הרכוש. וירדו הם וכל אשר לכם חיים שעולם, ותכעס עליהם הארץ, ויעבדו מתוך הקהל. Scarcely had he finished speaking all these words, when the ground under them burst asunder, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them up with their households. All Korach's people and all their possessions, they went down alive into Sheol, with all that belonged to them. The earth closed over them, and they vanished from the midst of the congregation. God was very angry, apparently, at Korach. God was infuriated with Korach's rebellion and the way he went about fomenting this rebellion against Moses and Aaron. Moses, just before this passage I read, said that if it's God's will that you are to be the leaders, if your fate seems to be like everyone else's, so be it. And Moses says, but if something extraordinary should happen, like the earth opens up and swallows you up, we will know. And as we read, that's precisely what happened. The earth did open up. And Korach and his descendants seem to have vanished, seem to have been wiped out from the midst of the congregation of Israel. And yet, we see something very interesting. When we open up the book of Psalms, the largest book of the Bible, 150 liturgical songs that were sung all the time from the time of Solomon right up until the destruction of the Second Temple in the year 70 CE. That Korach, or at least the descendants of Korach, sang many of these songs. There are what we call superscriptions over most of the Psalms, telling us who among the Levites, the choristers, the musicians in the temple were to sing these songs, and with which musical instruments. 11 of the 150 Psalms, we are told, were sung by the descendants of Korach. So what happened? Were they not wiped out? We are told in various places in rabbinic literature that Korach's descendants, some had to have remained alive, repented. They learned their lesson. I can't believe that they never had a dispute with the hierarchy in ancient Israel, but they learned the proper way of dissenting, the proper way of expressing their dissatisfaction with the appointed leadership. We are told that a certain place was set aside in the hereafter for the descendants of Korach, that they were put aside in the hereafter to sing praises of God. So what does this teach us? It teaches us the power of repentance. It teaches us that no matter how far one may have trespassed or removed oneself from the tradition or gone astray, that our God is a forgiving God, and there is always a way back to the congregation of Israel, always a way back to finding one's place within the Jewish people. Well, I hope that you will read this week's Torah portion and come to your own conclusions. Shabbat Shalom.
أبا الشمعون كن بعوني لا دعيتك عينني أبا الشمعون كن بعوني لا دعيتك عينني لا دعيتك نصب الليل عينني بالباكري لا دعيتك نصب الليل عينني بالباكري لا